Well, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Open and welcome to a little bit of red in a sea of what has been very green. Let's give a shout out to the newest member, NY. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, and also everybody out there who is joining us here for Monday, the 5th of May's Open. Obviously, this week is going to be pretty volatile, and I expect it to be a massive point because we face ourselves at the 20 weekly moving average. What we call mean reversion in trading and investing is where we find ourselves. And of course, what happens here usually does matter for the next coming weeks and months. So it's a very important structural zone, and hopefully you guys are ready for it. Today, we'll talk about stocks, we'll talk about commodities, we'll talk about cryptos as we uncover kind of the big news stories, including the Federal Reserve. And I guess I ask you guys straight away, firstly, fill in the poll. And secondly, did you have a good weekend? And thirdly, do you think we'll get a Fed rate cut this week, guys? What do you think? Are we going to get a rate cut? Let me know in the chat. Kevin, NY, Michelle, Big Silver, Chris, Deborah, Michael, Joseph, Alex, Daniel, Clace, Tarina, George, Trish, Eugene, Jits, Out of Control, Big Silver, and many, many others joining us. Welcome, guys. All right, so it seems like most of you think no cut. I agree. I do think it will be a point, though. So obviously, you've got to remember that's going to happen as of Wednesday. So just make sure you're aware of this one, guys, which is the 2 p.m. New York time Fed rate statement conference, obviously cut itself. I'd expect Trump to be posting a few tweets about this one if there is no cut. And I think that could be a catalyst event for some potential little bit of volatility. So watch out for that one. It's probably the number one piece of news that you're looking for this week, other than just random statements. And I noticed also when I was having a look at the the old calendar this week, anyone else see this? Look at this. Friday, FOMC, member Williams, member Barr, member Kugler, Goolsby, Waller, Williams, Cook, Hammock, and Mussolini. They're all coming. It is the Fed, the plunge protection team is out in force. And although that doesn't mean anything for us as traders investors, I always think it's funny when they all come out in one day and have a nice chat about how the economy is going. So Fed rate statement, just again, 2 p.m. New York time. Make sure you're aware of that one. Okay, so another thing, earnings today. We'll talk about that one in a moment. So, of course, we have Palantir, we have Ford, we have Datadog. These are the expected moves. Take a look at that Palantir, plus minus 15%. AMD, probably the big semiconductor of this week, Tuesday after the close. And we have Uber, Disney, Bumble, Shopify, and that's really about it. Lyft, sure. If you like to live dangerously, then you can live on Lyft because it's plus minus 16% according to the options market. That's a pretty big volatility move. If no cuts, Trump is likely to rubbish Powell. Red if cut Fed, that means recession. And if Fed already reacting too late, market will hate it. That's equals red. Big Silver basically saying here everything is going to be red on that one. Expecting big PLTR move tonight. Well, you just saw before. I think it's a plus minus 15% PYM. So that's going to be a big one here. And B Shizzle says, after Trump has been yapping about the cut, it'll be really hard for Powell to cut because that's losing Fed independence credibility, and that would make it harder to anchor inflation expectations. Yeah, so I think the Fed cut, that's probably the big day, Wednesday this week. Even if we just kind of go up and down and all around, we've had, 9 days straight up now or something like that. So let's just quickly go back over to the S&P for a moment. Always get your S&P 500 chart. SPX, and you can see here, if we have a look at the daily, we ended up just continuously gapping up. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've had 9 days up, and you might think, well, that means that it has to go down. Technically, yes. Last time I think we saw this, we ended up getting the 10th day was down 0.1%. And then it actually continued to go up again. I'll bring the stats at the end of today just so you can see what the usual, movement forward is. But don't think that 9 days up means that it's over. What my thought process is that we're starting to get exhausted at that point where we usually see dark pool trades. And obviously, we did see a couple right here. And as it turns out, a few more at the end of Friday. So if we're having a look here at the market, we've got a few dark pools coming in at the high that were then rejected. Then we have a movement up after the non-farm payrolls that we'll talk about in a moment. And then, of course, we see a movement down. Now, I'll share a stat with you. Actually, I'll see if I can grab it for you for a second here. It's a pretty interesting one. So let me see if I can grab it. So this one here, I was going to pop on the video on the weekend, but I wasn't able to get that one out. But I'll just show it to you guys here. This is US non-farm employment annual growth, 1960 to 2025. Now, as we know, the jobs numbers, that was the non-farm payrolls numbers, actually came in pretty okay. They were a little bit higher, and everyone thought it was great. But it's interesting here, except during the start of, this is from Paulson Perspectives, except during the start of a new recovery since at least 1960, the US has never been in economic expansion with annual payroll employment growth at less than 1.2%. At this job growth pace, it was either already in a recession or imminently headed into one. How can the Fed be so calm that the job market is healthy and they can wait to ease Fed rates? Well, interesting here because that's a very interesting point that it's never been like this without it. I mean, obviously we live uncertain and unusual times, but I thought that was a pretty interesting comment. I'll talk more about that in our end of day show. But the thing I wanted to mention with you guys here with the SPX is let's have a look at these gaps. We've got one gap here. So what we'll do is we'll copy and paste these gaps down so you guys can see them. We've got a second gap comes in here. These are major gaps. Then we've got a third gap at 51.55. So let's just quickly play with a few scenarios. Let's just say that the weekly 200, the weekly 20 and the daily 200, which sits here, is too much, okay? Let's say that somewhere in this next 20, 30 points, and according to the poll, let's see what you guys have said, 75% of you are bearish. Guys, 74% of you are bearish. Come on, vote bull quickly. Vote bull, guys, quickly. I'll leave it open. Vote bull. Someone vote bull. Get those stats down. We don't want you coming in 74% bearish, guys. Get that down. Wow. Is everyone a bear? That's a little disturbing, I got to say. I was hoping it was be more like maybe 60%. No one's voting bull. All right, let's close the poll. So final stats here. Thank you for voting bull there, sir. All right. So final stats here. Bears are coming 73% this week. Bulls for sure 26%. Oh, I don't like it when you guys do this to me. When you vote all bearish. I was feeling a little tantalizingly bearish this week, guys. Why are you doing this to me? 73% or whatever, 76% bearish. So anyway, S&P, obviously a lot it's facing. Now, this makes me wonder whether there's one last little kick up to hit that 5,800 plus to stop loss hunt everybody. What do you guys think in the chat? Is that possible? I mean, of course it's possible, but my thought anyway is that I think there's going to be weakness around here. We're so far getting it today. Now, what are the positive catalysts? China deal, any kind of tariff deal, realistically, some form of deregulation, some form of tax cut, okay? Some kind of Fed cut, but then I'm not really sure that's even that good. So they're kind of the bullish pros. The negatives, we don't have a deal. Market gets uneasy and unhappy about that. We could be seeing some form of bear bust due to the dark pool liquidity and the fact that a lot of people are bullish. And the reason I want to mention this is because if you check out this chart here, the largest inflows ever on record from JP Morgan, from us, the retail investor, the retail trader, people are buying the dip like it's out of control, even though they claim in sentiment reports they're not buying the dip out of control. So there you go. I mean, that's another interesting case there. What other bearish cases do you guys have? Obviously, every technical you can think of. 61.8 fib, most traded zone, heavy types of resistance, 20 moving average on the weekly mean reversion, 200 daily mean overbought indicators, a lot of overbought just generally across the board. And then, of course, it pushed a little bit further than people expected by wiping the Thursday daily high. So you can see here we wiped that high, which is also usually a good sign for resistance. So give me something else. What else we got here? Lower low, lower high to a lower low. Yep. That would basically be where we have here, what's going to trigger, what could trigger actually bears. High, low, higher high, lower low, 55.75. Definitely an area to watch. I see an inverse head and shoulders forming on the S&P, but everything looks like that or a triangle flag pennant. Okay. 30-year yield not agreeing with bullish outlook. Yep, exactly. 30-year, 10-year, all the years yield. We'll look at that in a moment. So they're all up. I'm not buying the dip out of control. I'm honest, says Seb. I'm not sure about that, Seb. Do you guys think Seb's being honest? Look at this. Look at that little sweating face. Absolute sweat coming off that head. Been in Bikram yoga. Dead cat bounce. Okay. High yield junk. Volatility is slipping. I'm bullish. You're trying to predict. Well, look, of course, we say not to predict, obviously, but we're finding an area of great interest. Okay. So this has always been our area of great interest. Have we always said this? We've said this, guys. You guys are smart. You got big brains. 5,600, 5,660. I've said it a lot. And yes, you might say, well, Tom, bro, 5,700 almost. What are you talking about here? Fine. We're in the area. We're in the area of interest. And we're now at the moment, series of higher highs and high lows. So obviously the bulls are in control. But what happens if we take this out now? Is that the catalyst? Dark pool liquidity. Lots of indicators. Key area. Certainly very interesting. Welcome to the almost 2,000 people that are joining us here live as well. Thank you very much for giving the stream likes, thumbs up. Really appreciate you guys and obviously appreciate your daily viewership here. Please have a look at treasuries. We will do in a moment. Aussie Cobber 71, $10. Thank you very much, Aussie. I know it's late for you like it is for all the Australians out there, but appreciate you, man. Hopefully doing well in Adelaide. Dr. Horton says, Tom, bro, what's up? Dead cat bounce. Match the double bottom scenario theory. Okay, so let's just quickly update everyone on what that means. So basically in 1998, back in time, during one of the biggest bubbles in history, we did this. Almost fell the exact same amount, rallied up, dropped off, rallied up one more time, dropped, did that. Okay. So that's the 1998 theory. Now we've overlaid that quite a few times. It is certainly the most plausible right now in terms of overall setup. So that is a good scenario. Now, if that was to happen, you would think that the market would try to go for at least a 5150 or 5200 so that we could hit the gap fills, which is why I was looking at those on the S&P. What do you guys think? You think that's the most plausible scenario right now? Thoughts on Warren stepping down? Yeah. So basically, if you don't know, the breaking news is Warren Buffett has finally decided to say, you know what? I'm done at the end of 2025. What a run he had. And we've got to also say that for probably most of us out there, I'd be really interested to know if you have had this same thing in the chat. Who actually got interested in investing and trading based on just Buffett's name? Hearing about Warren Buffett being the most successful investor of all time, probably not even arguably. Did anybody get into trading and investing, watching something, hearing one of Warren Buffett's quotes? I'm trying to think if I did. I guess in some ways, yes. So what a legend. Obviously, the legend in terms of the investing at the head of Berkshire is coming to the end in 2025. And he will be, giving the reins to somebody else. I kind of still feel like a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, well, that's why he's been cashing in. I don't think so. I still think that he's seen something he doesn't like and he's getting ready. Like he obviously wants to end with, I told you so, guys. I really feel like he's definitely doing that. But let's have a look here. Michael Douglas from some people. Martin Skrilly got me in 100% from Surf the Wave. Yes, read his books. Nope. Hands up here. Nope. Alexander got in because of Druckenmiller. We all know that's a Druckenmiller, bro. Absolutely no. Who cares? Wait, who cares? Oh, man, come on. We share the same name and you don't care? You got to care. Warren Buffett's like pretty legendary in investing, dude. He's got some great quotes. You can't be hating on Buff. Most boring investor ever. I totally just owe this guy who got me started. Nah, he's not the most boring investor ever. He came up with like one of the best reads on the market, which is the Warren Buffett indicator. I think it's genius. It doesn't work anymore, but it was pretty genius for its time. Not all follow, but listen to Buffett. Yeah, I mean, I think there's always words of wisdom in everybody. But anyway, he's obviously finishing up, and I think the thing here is that he has probably, in my opinion, shot a bit of a warning across the bow and said, you know what, I think we're getting close to that end of cycle, and that would make sense as well with the types of volatility we've seen this year and the way the market's acting and everything. Anyway, we're obviously interested in finding out what could be happening next. We are at that resistance area. Let's jump on over to some yields, though. Let's take a look at the 10, 20, and 30-year yield. So here's the 2 first up. So you see that huge spike and dump down on it. You can see here, I think that's a fake read, by the way. US 10-year, you can see here 4.32, so it's jumping up. And let's have a look at the 30Y, which is kind of getting a little scary there. You can see here, not sure exactly what went on. Is this real, guys? This spike that happened there on the open? I'm not too sure. I guess it's real. But yeah, it's like this random spike here that just happened. And that's pretty large. I mean, that actually tested that 4.9, almost 4.95 read that I've got. And you do remember on the 30Y in particular, you want to have a read around here with a set alert. And the reason you want that is because, let's just set one together and I'll just put it a little bit higher. Because if you don't have this one, this is where basically we saw Trump kind of backpedal a little bit. And we saw the Fed kind of saying, yeah, well, I'm a bit worried, guys. So if we get back to this level, we have to assume that the plunge protection team might need to jump back in. So this is obviously a very, very important read for you to have and to consider, especially over the next couple of weeks. Charlie plus Warren was a lethal combo. Absolutely. People don't give Munger enough credit for sure. Boring investments are the most profitable investments. Yeah, temperament is the number one read that I always get from really investors out there. You look at Druckenmiller, you look at Munger, you look at Buffett, you look at any of these guys, and you'll always see that they have very good temperament in markets. And that is that they don't get really panicked by huge sells, nor do they get super, absolutely elated by huge gains, which is always an important thing here. At least 50% Buffett, definitely better because of him. Good, man. All right. VIX up 7% today. Yes, but still sitting under 25 LUFC. So what did someone say here? Is now still a good time to hold cash? Well, I'm not going to give you personal advice on that or anything, dude, but cash is obviously all about when you're going to deploy it. Do you deploy it at a resistance? Do you deploy it at a supply? Or do you deploy it after you get the evidence of the next move? That's the question you've got to ask yourself. If you're someone that's going to be a technical kind of analyst, then usually you look towards seeing flow. And then when you see flow and you see flow activate, then you generally will distribute your cash in that way. Any dark pool trades as of Friday? Yeah, I saw a couple that came in just near the close, and they were in triple levered funds, S&P and Qs. So not the biggest ones I've ever seen, but a couple more extras, all around that same level we discussed in the Friday video or Thursday close video. So realistically, right in here, we've had a couple of large trades. Now, which line up very well with the previous, obviously, trades that we saw over here on the left-hand side. All right, let's move over to a few other things that are happening that is notable. We saw oil get absolutely belted before, hitting almost a new low. So we saw $55 a barrel, back up to 57. I think OPEC's basically saying, guys, we're going to flood the market if you're not careful. So obviously that's causing barrels to be effectively on the market at under price. I'm not exactly sure what US producers produce at, but I'm pretty sure it's 60 something a barrel. So that's not good in terms of US oil price. But you can see here that the oil is very low. Now, I will say, whenever you see oil tanking like this, it is not usually a good sign. So traditionally, when you've had oil kind of dumping off, it shows yields usually needing to drop, which is really weird because, of course, it shows growth concerns. Now, what could this be good for? Well, if you've got cheap oil predominantly, then it could be good for miners, especially because it's one of their big inputs. I'm not sure that's a good play, but obviously it's weird because you've got copper up 1%, oil down 2.5%, was down 5%. That's some pretty significant kind of shifts that are a bit different here. So unusual stuff going on there, mostly OPEC, I think. And then you've got the big two here. Wow. Did anyone pick up 3,200, 3,220 on gold? Anybody here grab that price? Let us know in the chat. I'll give you a highlight. I'm looking at the SPY, and if 544 is violated, then uptrend is broken. I'm not sure that will fully violate it, Dubs, but I understand your thought process there. But in terms of if you're looking at small time frames, we just gave the price before. OPEC Plus stated supply boost to punish Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan? I don't know what that is. I know it's a country, but I don't know how to say it properly. And Iraq. Okay, very interesting. OPEC is increasing output. Yes, that's right. Everyone celebrating drop in oil prices is in for a rough lesson. Yeah, I agree, Stephen. It's not a good sign. Mark got it. Okay, cool. Yes, bought gold, Stephen. Yes, almost to the dollar. Ooh, that is nice. You got it to the dollar. Well, I guess yeah, that would make sense actually. Oh, you are a sneaky cat there. 3,200. So you buying it like 3,202? Nice. Yeah. Look, I gotta say, guys, damn. I don't know if gold might be the most beautiful charts out there at the moment. The reason why I say gold's so beautiful is because this was pretty predictable. This was pretty predictable. And so far, this is actually achieving more than I thought. I actually thought we'd crap out about here today. So I thought I didn't even think we'd hit 3,300 today, but 3,305, I was just talking about this morning, 3,320. And this is pretty much where I think is resistance, but that is, a very, very nice move here from gold. And it does just show you again that great technicals, you might say that technicals don't work. This is actually a very exceptional technical to study. Obviously, it comes off the fact that too many retail up here, just thinking they're the best thing on sliced bread and gold. And then obviously a perfect demand hit and very nice little turn as well in there. So congrats to anybody that got that very nicely. Now, my crappy silver, on the other hand, here is doing okay. But I'd like to see a 32.75 plus on this one. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Almost to the dollar. I didn't think yields are due to growth, but starting on the long end, yes, they are. It's very concerning there. I did grab gold on Friday. Cool. Decided to sleep in because of bank holiday and missed it. Ooh. Can't be sleeping on the wrong bank holiday, Nico. Wrong bank holiday. The country you're in was having some random bank holiday. It's all about the US, man. Well, that's what we like to trade anyway. Bad luck there, bro. Liam says, I'm going on a gold hunting trip in the ACT next week. Nuggets are now actually worth the effort. Good luck. I always find it funny. Has anyone ever looked for gold? I remember I went sleuthing or whatever you want. I don't know what it is. Panning. That's what they call it in Australia. And I found gold, guys. And it took, bloody hell, I searched in that river. I searched in that river. I spent 8 hours and I found the equivalent to about $10 worth of gold. I am not a good gold. Oh my goodness. It was so hard. There was no gold in that river. I'm telling you, that was a scam river. $10, 8 hours, the worst. But it was pretty satisfying getting that thing. So I would say it was fun for the experience. For the monetary revenue, it was absolutely trash. Silver slow and steady, yes. But let's have a quick look at structure here. 4 hour. Anyone else gold pans? Anyone found a big nugget? Let us know. By the way, if anybody has a picture, obviously you can hide it. We used to have this thing in our community where people would share their silver stacks and gold stacks. If you're willing to, send me a picture of your gold stack. I love pictures of gold stacks, like those big, where they cut the coins and everything. Obviously, make it so you can't, if you allow me to share it, I love sharing them. They're legendary. Gold stacking, silver stacking. Make sure it doesn't have any private stuff in it. But some people, they have some serious gold stacks in this community. It's pretty wild. Silver here, you can see we have a very, very nice high resistance. So 32.75, 32.80. Certainly looking for a break there. I'd like to have that one go through this week. Obviously, we'll be watching that. Dollar down. Dollar tried to do that old inverse head and shoulders. You can see here daily 20 was hit. And as I mentioned on the previous video, and we talked about a little bit, this was a daily 20. And the problem is, if you go back through history of the current dollar, every time it's hit this daily 20, it seems to be rejecting it on this way down. You got a bit of a rejection, bit of a rejection, bit of a rejection, and again. So even though that is an obvious inverse head and shoulders, I wouldn't say it activated yet. I'd still say that's resistance. And I think that might have caught a few people out. So yeah, just remember that daily 20 is also important to break. Is it an inverse head and shoulders? Yes. Is there a very good short here? Yeah, there's a repeatable short, one from our day trading masterclass that is currently basically break even at 1.4 to 1 style ratio, because it is a repeatable short that's currently going through there. Chris says here, sadly, I only have half an hour today, but half an hour of FXE live is invaluable for the day, better than anyone on discussion of the week. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate that. And no worries, dude. Thank you very much for your time for the half an hour. Hims is going crazy recently. Maybe we'll check that out. Sovereign Hill. Sovereign Hill has about 2 specks of gold in it. You'll find even less than $10. I've got $1 coins. Very good. Doesn't matter how much you have. It's awesome. Where were you panning, Tom? Sovereign Hill? I have panned at Sovereign Hill. I probably found about $1. It gets even worse at Sovereign Hill. Can you check out Taiwanese dollar, Tom? I'm not too... It just went crazy. Okay. Is it actually going crazy or not? Which one here is Taiwanese dollar code? I'm just interested. Now that you see, when you say crazy, I always have to have a look. But what's the code for Taiwanese dollar? I don't know. NT or something? TWD, NT? TWD? I don't know. I don't even know the code for it. Taiwanese US dollar. There we go. Okay. Wow. Yeah, you're not kidding. That is quite wild. That's a bit of a move there, isn't it? Not sure what's going on. Anyone know the news on this one? That's actually quite a large move. Bought gold thanks to Peter Schiff in 2007. Well, that wasn't a bad time. It's just bad from 2011 to 2022. Yeah, USD NTD. Is this not it? Treasury spike, apparently. Oh, okay. Treasury spikes that did it. Yeah, those treasury spikes are random. That 30-year hitting up to 5. I'm telling you, that 4.95, guys, that 5% barrier on treasuries, 30Y, we got to watch that one very closely together, because that is a catalyst point. Let's jump through some more stuff. We'll do Nasdaq, as a lot of you guys like to look at both of them. Again, weekly 20. Again, that's a resistance point. Again, it's technically overbought here on a lot of different metrics. Again, TQQQs traded through here. That doesn't mean it is active yet. You're looking at this low this week. So that's the low from the Thursday session. So you're looking about 19,644. That will take out small time frame upward trend, which is currently still bullish. And of course, a lot of people are going to be looking at 19K as well. But I think that this is the key area to be watching this week. And obviously, Wednesday is the potential catalyst as well. So something to keep an eye out for. Other than that, trend is up. If you've been lucky enough to buy the bottom or buy the 61.8 retracement, congrats to you. And you do need to remember all of these are fibbing at like some form of 61.8 kind of fibs. So basically golden pockets, golden fibs, all of that type of stuff. People fear of Trump and USA deal. Okay. Very much. Taiwan in trade talks, currency manipulate, possibly. News are that the Taiwan government is probably going to agree to some Plaza Accord to Trump. Okay. Deal reached with Taiwan. Is it reached? Was it possible deal? Thank you, Japan Reels. Thank you guys for sharing that up. Yeah, that's maybe trade deal. Yeah, makes sense. Global money games. Certainly. Is it an altcoin? I love that. Great, Scott. Good name, dude. That's funny. TWD is crazy because treasury spikes. I think it must be this deal concept here. Oh, that's true. I didn't get that ready for this week. I have to write that one down. Possible not to reach. Possibly not reached. Oh man, this is so annoying. Is anyone else annoyed by these? Oh, I think we're going to do something. Oh, I think we're going to have a chat. Oh, we're open to negotiations. I mean, it's got to be, that is so going to be 2025 for us. Everything's going to be postulating and possibilities. And don't get me wrong, that's the market in a nutshell. But still, it's always frustrating when you're dealing with those kinds of unknowns. There won't be any trade deals. Yeah, maybe. They're just bluffing. Yeah, we have absolutely no idea. And I think that's the reason why I'm kind of guessing that this idea of a trade deal. I mean, the market, remember, is up on the idea that we're going to get trade deals. We currently, as far as I know, someone correct me. Am I right in thinking we have none? Or did we just get Taiwan? Do we have none? Or do we have Taiwan? Because we may have none. And if we have none, then we have clearly climbed the wall of worry. Okay, and that's fine. And don't get me wrong. This bit here to this bit here all makes sense. But the market still eventually cracks it. And if we have no deals, there's a possibility that that is going to suddenly unravel. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening here. You're getting a lot of discussion points about, actually, I had Bloomberg up before, and it was like this comment here I was going to mention. And it says, Trump says he's willing to lower China tariff at some point. It doesn't give markets certainty. So I think the thing here is that we've got to remember we currently don't have anything. This is very technical level. And therefore, there are catalysts, being that we don't have anything yet, that could fall this market. They could send it down. And I think the Wednesday Fed cut makes the most sense as well, because we won't probably get a cut. And I could see that being a catalyst. So that's why I think these 2 points here are the most important for this week. Let's now jump on over to a couple of stocks. Let's have a look at PLTR. Now, you PLTR boffins, you'll be pretty happy with yourself. Wowzers, look at this stock. So my thought was it was going to get back to around here and possibly crap out. But it has not. It's gone to 124 again. And that is actually an incredible return, because you've got $70 back to 124 in only a few weeks. So very nice. Now we come up to earnings plus minus 15%. So just remember, this is going to be a big one in terms of options markets. I mean, I wouldn't personally be buying it here, but it did close on the highs. And just remember, it's going to be a very volatile day specifically on this stock. And while I thought it was going to probably stay sideways for around 1 to 3 months, and usually come up here and then peter out and kind of do this, that is a very strong pull. And it still could do exactly what I thought. This is actually still open, as in it could do this and then that later on. And that's actually still, the type of pattern that I was seeing. Big Silver says here, $10. Appreciate it, man. Market Masters Club pays for itself, guys. Appreciate it, dude. Check it out. Also, Tom, can we have a look at your all-time favorite trade, non-fat dry milk futures? Non-fat dry milk futures, SPG SNF. Looks like it could be turning. Is that a joke? Thank you very much, Big Silver. SPG SNF. What? Short volumes. Is that what we're doing? Looks like it could be turning. I don't know if this is what we're talking about here, Big Silver, but thank you very much. Thank you very much. Would you sell PLTR at this point? I would probably take, if it was me, I would consider certainly resistance as being a key point of potential. Let's just say that. Because I think the thing is that you can look at like PLTR, you say it did drop a lot, it's had a miraculous recovery. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad business. I mean, obviously it's been one of the success stories of the last couple of years, but at the same time, in this uncertain market with uncertain things, it might be worthwhile paying attention to, sure. Big Silver buying milk out there? Yeah. Big Silver's buying A2 milk. For the Market Masters class, is there a minimum cash balance one should have to trade before taking a class? I would generally suggest that you have, it doesn't really matter about minimum, because all you want to build reps and then compound in. And I always say, and I think a lot of people will say this in the chat, if you're in, say you're investing, okay, you can afford to invest maybe a little bit more money, but really the aim is get your reps in, around 40 reps ideally of the same replicable process. You can learn on those classes. And then at the same time, it doesn't really matter about the dollar amount at the beginning. In fact, I would generally suggest that if most people started a little bit lower, let's say like $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, something in that vicinity, and then they just risk very small amounts, you would end up being more profitable long term, because you then add your bigger money that you're saving and you're building through your career or job or whatever you're doing. And you do that so that you don't lose the big amount at first. And I'm sure someone here in the chat can say that they wish they probably did it that way. That is, they started a little bit smaller, they built their reps, they got their system in place, they understood where their psychology was a little bit, and then they added the money after they had that rep in. That's usually the best way to do it. But in terms of minimum, look, it's not about minimum. This is a life skill. If you learn trading, you learn investing, you learn any type of compounding, there's a reason it's not in the schools, and that is not to your benefit. You got to remember, we live in a society that is built on debt. Debt is the biggest growth engine of these societies, and at the same point, debt is also the biggest driver of you not having the freedom to make the choices that you wish to make in life, whatever they may be. So what is investing? It is a way of you potentially getting ahead of maybe, the debt kind of, ball and chain in life, and then hopefully building a better life for your family and friends and everybody else, so that you can then spend, what you need to do doing what you want to do. That's all we all want. We all want just basically the freedom to make our own decisions. Now, we all love trading and investing, and I'm not here to say any more about this, but basically speaking, it's just really important that we understand that this is not in the system, because in many ways, consumerism is in the system. So if you think about it at school, you're almost taught to be a consumer. You're not taught to be a saver. You're taught to be a debt carrier. Ideally, you would always be a debt carrier. Eli has probably a very big story here, and I appreciate him sharing this. And I appreciate him sharing this, by the way. He says, I quickly lost about 600,000 knowing nothing. Now I'm working with about 5. So yes, keep it small first. Yeah, I see it all the time, especially guys. Women don't do this. Guys, we're shocking. We're shocking. We always come in hard. Yeah, bang. I got 100K. Let's go, baby. $5,000 per risk per trade. Yeah. Oh, I made 10 grand. I'm a trader. And then you buy like 5 screens and start smoking cigars and playing golf. And you claim that and you claim you're a trader. You know nothing. Remember, if someone thinks they know everything about markets, they know nothing. That includes all of us. You have to always think about it. If you said to me, do I know a lot about markets? Yeah, I know a lot. Do I know everything about markets? Absolutely not. Why? Because you're always striving to get a little bit more edge and a little bit more of improvement. If that ever changed for me, if that ever changed for any of us, then we would be stuffed because at that point, we would lose our edge. Now, let's have a look at Bitcoin here. We've had it up on the screen. Eli, thank you for sharing that story. That is pretty wild, but absolutely thank you for sharing it. So you can see here that we have Bitcoin. Now, I know that this is the most traded area. So basically, Bitcoin was heavily traded around 96,000. Again, that's why it's finding resistance here. Big supply, big area, still series of higher highs and higher lows in the higher time frame. 92K worthwhile watching this week. So for now, Bitcoin certainly still in bullish territory, but it is struggling here. And I'm wondering whether Bitcoin will actually fall because there's almost no trade in this particular large candle that happened a few weeks ago. So again, 85, not out of the question if we drop this level. Bang, bang, bang down here, potentially bullish off there. Sunshine Girl says, oh, I did it as well, and I'm a girl. Okay. Generally, women are not that bad, but men are we're shocking. Shocking. My biggest mistake was investing in something I believed in when I first started investing without realizing it was the worst possible thing anyone had ever invested in, ever in the history of stocks. Enron. No, probably some weed stock. Those weed stocks were terrible. They're always bad. I did it too. Yeah. Like a lot of people do this. I'm an expert at catching falling knives. Well, you've got maybe you can reverse yourself there. They want us to not be taxpayer plus debt owner. They want you to be taxpayer plus debt owner. Yes. I'm starting at 500. That's how much I'm willing to lose for now. No problems with it. That's absolutely a fine level. Just get your reps in. 40 reps. Statistically, I found that whenever I've looked at all the psychology books in the world, it seems to be around 40 replications is the key to knowing whether you have a good system and also to key to proving it to yourself. Because the ultimate thing here is you have to prove your own replications. Most people stop between 10 and 15, and I'm sure most people can put their hands up for that. So let's continue through here. We've got stocks being S&P and Nasdaq both at resistance. We've got Bitcoin at resistance. That's some correlation. We've got oil doing weird and strange things. We've got resistance kind of being formed here on the dollar. We've got gold back up, which obviously was happening during the sell, which is interesting in itself. We've got yields. All the yields are up. They spiked. We've got some weird 30-year yields. So make sure to track the 30Y. That's pretty wild. Silver potentially breakout this week. And obviously the other ones are the single stocks. So let's have a quick look at here at single stocks. NVDA, right at resistance, selling off a little bit here. So that's at correlation of resistance. So again, a lot of correlation. But Apple, nothing much on that one, I don't think. That obviously suffered last week a little bit through earnings. And then we've got Amazon, again, at the resistance. Google, at the resistance and suffering. Microsoft, very strong, but at resistance. Again, correlation there. I don't know. What do you guys think? Meta, you can see here again at these supply resistances. It's going to be like this across the board. And then we've got Tesla, again, coiling. Now, I would like to mention on Tesla, I'm not necessarily bullish or bearish on it here because I can see merit in both. Is this a resistance? Is this a supply? Yes. Could it be bullish still? I think so, because remember, if we get through this point, we go positive gamma, and it's relevant what we think about Tesla because that's trading. Trading is not about your opinions or feelings. 330, 350 is possible because this is currently coiling at this level. Now, I don't know which way it'll break, but what do you guys think? Bullish or bearish on this one? So if you're under 35 years old, just buy VTI and never sell, says John. Okay. DAX, please. All right, let's have a look at the DAX. It's been a little while since I've checked that out on the channel. The indices, very strong. International markets better than the US market this year. Look at that DAX, straight back to the highs. Actually, when you think about it, this is a 24% return. Not bad, not bad for an index. Very, very strong. My goodness. I didn't even realize it was back up here at the highs already. I thought it was like here. Yeah. Yeah, you can't really look at this and say, wow, that looks absolutely terrible, can you? But it is, again, it's at resistance. I mean, we're at these correlations this week. Everything's resistant. The tariff on 100% tariff on movies. Yeah, I saw that. Make Hollywood great again. I don't know about you guys, but I got to be real. Firstly, when I visited Hollywood, can't say I liked it that much. I can't say I did. I liked America. I did not like the Hollywood area. And the second thing is, I don't think there's been a good film that's come out of Hollywood for quite a while. I could be proven wrong, but you guys know. I don't know. They're not making them like they used to. Do you guys agree or disagree? I feel like mostly trash coming out. Possibly wrong. In the US, you ain't getting no Bollywood films anymore. Not that I did watch those. It's a tourist trap. Geez, I'll tell you what, there's a bit of dodge going on that street. It's a bit dated and dingy. Great Hollywood movies are indie. The last good movie was The Dark Knight. Yeah, that's pretty good. Sinners was good. Top Gun was good. Top Gun was good. Okay, I did see that in the cinema too. There you go. That's the last Hollywood film I saw. That was good too. I agree. AI movies now. Oh man, AI mouths have to be the weirdest thing ever when they open. Oh, it's so creepy. Hollywood's different now. Inception was 2010. That was a good film too. AI movies. Oh. Trump announced tariffs on foreign films. Yeah, he like decimated. Unfortunately for the poor Australians out there that make films, I think he decimated our industry in one day, if that's true. Blade Runner sequel was all right. Yeah, that was okay. Sinners is a musical. Oh. June. Yes. I like June as well. That was pretty good. I do like that. I like the music score in June. That's pretty good. So as you can see here, guys, like we do have a market that's selling. I know that you're like, where the hell is what's going on here? There's got to be some excitement. It is an exciting level, but it's like the calm before the storm. I'm hunting for you, okay? We're hunting. We're out there. We are hunting like in June. We're trying to find something. We're trying to find some spice, but we haven't got any spice just yet because we don't have any activation. So we've found where the worms are. We don't want to be eaten by those. But we need to find how we're going to harvest this spice. Okay. And that's where we find ourselves in this market right now, because we're basically at that resistance, at that supply. And you can see it clear as day. It's awaiting something, some form of catalyst. And in my thought process, before you guys voted 76% bearish, I was thinking, okay, this is a good chance. Wednesday is a decent chance, or just the market decides, you know what, I'm kind of sick of this. No, we don't have any deals yet. And it just starts getting lethargic and starts falling down. That was kind of the thought process, but we don't have the catalyst yet. ISM Services Index at 10 EST could move the market in more negative than expected. Look, we are in the point where you can mention these. So this is for the Monday, ISM Services PMI. Realistically, for me, I never look at these. because they're never really important unless it's like a recession or maybe right now. We just never have to look at these. But today, possibly we do. We also need to remember there are a couple of bank holidays, UK, Japan, but really that's already kind of gone through. So we're back in US liquidity now. But you can see here 10 a.m. New York time is the ISM PMI. Look, I never look into this number too much, but it could move the market for sure. Buy the rumor, sell now, says 4.4 Smile. 4x4. We're literally looking for recession signs. Yeah, I know. But I already feel like structure's the key here. Hi, Tom. Do you see Brazil, EWZ, or India, China can outperform the US in the next 2 years? Yeah, that's interesting. Can you please check the technicals on EWZ? So a lot of people are bringing me these codes at the moment. So these are the Brazil ETFs, the Nifty 50, obviously India actually having a pretty good recovery as well recently. I think India's market is a very interesting one for the next 20 years, uh, particularly I think 10, 20 years. EWZ, this has not been one that I've ever really traded. And I'll tell you why. And I think there is one good thing, which is obviously you've breached this, which is pretty key because I'm pretty sure that is a very nice trend line. So that's a very nice trend line on the downside. That being said, look at this chart. It's just not been good. So is this the catalyst breakout? Maybe. What do you guys in the chat think? I mean, it's definitely that is a good trend line down break. It did happen. Still at that kind of questionable area because this is the supply that this is dealt with. The weekly was a doji. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Now you have a look at the Nifty 50. Nifty 50. Get that up. There we are. You can see this much stronger, considerable break a little while ago. Obviously, resistance again, correlation highs across the board in these major markets. But yeah, it's just been a lot better technically. I heard it's South Asia and Africa that they are watching. Yeah, Wolf Unpack could be right. Nah, it's toast. Cat out of the bag. Noosa and World in trouble. Tom, thoughts on coffee futures? Well, we don't look at coffee futures, bro. I'm up 6% on my Brazil. Sticky Monkey is living dangerously. The only chart to watch is Nasdaq 100 with its 200-day moving average cloud. Yeah, I mean, I agree that I think the S&P is the chart to watch, but you're not wrong. And the 200 is a big deal on both. Tom, is a recession already priced in? Absolutely not, AJ. Absolutely not. Believe me when I say, if we hit a recession this time around, I would be likely to believe. Actually, I want to hear you in chat. Chat, you guys, how much will we fall? AJ has the question. Valid questions. Nothing wrong with this question. Absolutely valid. How much would we fall? S&P 500, top to bottom. Recession. Actually hits. Bang. Give it to me, guys. What is it? What's the worst? What's the worst fall you got? How much do we fall? I'll give you mine straight after it. Recession equals depression. Yes. 40, 55, 69%, 3,500 points. Okay. 30%, 85%. Frederick. 1920s Frederick's selling with. That's nasty. Daniel's going 85%. Jeff's going 85%. Oh, nasty, guys. Nasty. Recession means artificial bubble post GFC. Well, that's right. Is it recession or depression? Feds won't let it fall. I think they will because they'll have to in this case. Bro, that's a depression. Yeah, I know. That would be pretty bad. So I would probably say around 45% would be the fall that I would expect to 55. Yeah, that area there. Now, you might say that's a bit too much. I would actually think that much because I think that we have some toxic debt in the system. Now, A depression, that's going to be 85. That is deadly. I do not hope that for any of us. You might say, "Oh, I get cheap stocks." Believe me, you do not want that one. That one is not cheap stocks. That is a horrible abomination. This one could be possibly cheap stocks. This one is an abomination. We do not want that. Just think about how much that would actually fall some stocks. Tech would be down 90%. It would be just crazy. Cheap stocks, no one will be able to buy them. Yeah. Cheap stocks for a decade, that's correct. It would be a long time. So remember the difference. Recession equals potentially recovery relatively quickly. Depression, whoa, 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 yo, whoa, whoa. 10 years possibly. It's not good. Takes a long time. I get cheap stocks, but I can't afford bread and water. That's right. That's right. Maybe we'll do hyperinflation while we're at it. So yeah, I mean, if we do get a recession, I would say this one will be worse than some. And I think it ultimately will be saved by the central banks. But you've got to remember they don't actually have much more room to give. The Fed does. I estimate it can print a lot more money. But some of the central banks around the world, specifically Japan and Eurozone, I don't really think they got the juice. If you're in your 20s, you want a Great Depression 2.0. Well, I'm not in my 20s, so I don't want it. I'm 37. I'll take the non-Great Depression. Thank you very much. But if you were like, let's just say a perfect age right now, if anyone here is in the room around this age, about 17, 18, maybe 19 in the, especially if you're like in the universities, you want to kind of have like a 4 or 5 year degree would be ideal. So that would be, whoever's here in that phase would be pretty lucky. Tom, is that from peak? Yes, it would be from peak. Yeah, I'm 40. Depression would be interesting. Andrew, we can't be doing that. Come on now. Age of Aquarius. I'm in my 20s, but not in my 20s. Okay, so you're in the fake 20s. You're like my old housemate I used to live with a long time ago, and he was a bit older than us. And he goes, I'm 20. So you're not 20. He's like, I'm 20, man. I'm like, no, bro, you're not 20. He was actually American. He goes, no, I'm 20, dude. And I'm like, dude, you turned like 30 last year. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a long time ago. And I remember I was like, bro, you're so crazy, man. It was funny. He would not admit he was 30, ever. Depression will be mass unemployment. Yeah, it'd be like 25%. AI would take over. That'd be like the Terminator. So anyway, guys, to recap here, we have US 500 right at the resistance. We've got kind of, I don't know why this crap keeps coming up on my screen. That is not correct, guys. I'll actually get you. Let me just get something for you guys. Let's have a quick look where the walls are today. Give me 1 sec. I will get some information. I'm sure you didn't get it on the weekend, so I'll get it for you now. Have a quick look here. Okay, so there's a ton of calls. All right, I'll just load this up so you guys can see it. All right, here we go. All right, there we are. So basically we have here the calls for today. So we've got a bunch of 5700s, a lot of 5700s this week. Actually, a surprising amount of 5800s as well. So that's really where things would get crazy if the markets rallied. And it seems to be very heavily hit with calls. So we've got calls all over the place. Markets just opened 2 minutes ago, but this is more interesting here. These calls. So basically, yeah, this is exactly where we would expect to get that full resistance in. So we're pretty close to those levels as of the close. And that's why I think we're selling off, because so many people just have calls everywhere. Now, if markets do rally, of course, they can create a positive gamma effect, but I think that's a big part of it. All right, let's give a shout out to the early stuff here. We've got 0.78 down on the US 500. Tesla opens up down 2. All of the big mag stocks are down, and I'm assuming this is a risk-off day across most things. So Let me just grab the sectors here, and we'll grab the sectors and we'll see which one is doing best in the open. See if it probably is a defensive session. So we have so far as we come in, gold up 2.5% for gold stocks. We got XLP, so staples, 0.36 down. We've got Moo Ag, which is pretty defensive at the moment. We've got energy down the worst. Financials, interestingly, down second worst here of the morning. And then we've got a mixture of stuff in the middle. So not really like a full hit on tech, but as you can see how it's going around, gold is the best. The rest are kind of dropped across the board. And financials actually second worst sector of the majors for the day. America won't fail. It did pretty good. I'm not saying it's a fail. I'm saying that it's just a recession we have to have. So eventually, I feel like we did kind of hit and trigger on some very dangerous points recently. But that's not to say that I don't think the markets can hit a new all-time high. But I think they can do this. Kind of get there and then maybe like that later. But it's not that America fails and it ends or anything like that. Of course, I'm not saying that. I just think that what happens is we push systems very far and then ultimately they need resetting points. And everyone's resetting. I'm not talking it's a global reset. And these tariffs could exacerbate that. I don't think they're going away. Fam, we have a great earnings week. Don't be fooled. Well, earnings is good this season because we already knew it would be. So if we have a look here, we've obviously got some good earnings stuff. We got AMD and Datadog and some other ones. And we knew it would be good earnings. It is good earnings. But the problem is going to be what's the future look like? And the markets hate uncertainty. Market's sad with Buffett's retirement. What's the Berkshire opening up? Down 5, yeah. I think a lot of people will. I think people will. I don't know. I'm wondering. I think people will bail on this stock. I mean, obviously, it's got an underlying, but I'm not sure what the premium to underlying is from Buffett being there. What are you guys doing? Anyone here held Berkshire? Are you going to sell it? You going to hold it? What are you going to do with it? Down 5% on Buffett saying he's done this year. If we get a deal with China, I'm holding gold puts awfully quiet on the put side. I think there's too much call pressure on gold. Well, clearly, I mean, it's absolutely squeezing right now. That's a big blowout up top for gold. Market's recovering a little bit, 0.6 now. A lot of gap here. There's a big gap this morning. Sold BRK Friday, waiting for 450. Okay. You'd buy back in. Warren said 50% is a good deal. What will happen to BRK if Buffett died? Well, I guess he's stepping down. So I'm not sure exactly if that means that he's still going to be a huge component, but I would say it would get pretty hit. Like probably that 10, 15, 20. Okay, a lot of people saying they sold this. Student loans are a big problem. I wouldn't look at the student loans. I think it's cars and zero down mortgages. There's a lot of bad ones out there. What's going on with AMD? AMD's got earnings this week. I think it's Tuesday though, isn't it? AMD is actually looking pretty good on base, but everything is. And again, just trading around that really heavy 100 zone. Nothing here. It's not easy. But that's not I think that the indices were easier than a stock like this. Palantir, I expect to correct and start to drop. Okay. 80% of people never pay their student loans. Not true. So I don't know how America works on student loans. So basically, are you able to, I mean, obviously if you earn a wage, I assume they garner some of your wage and make you pay back the student loan, correct? So is that saying that 80% of people that actually go and get student loans don't ever earn enough to pay it off. I don't actually know. In Australia, the way it works is you'll get a certain level of your income just taken from you. Good work. Here we go. We got respectable people in our community. Look at this. Tarina says, not true. I paid mine 100%. That's right, Tarina. Well done. You can defer your student loans indefinitely. That's true. Payback isn't forced, not taken from paycheck. The hell? What? That seems a bit crazy, I gotta say, guys. Oh, okay. Students who do not pay will have their credit scores trashed and will not be able to get mortgages. UK student loans only charge retail price indexation inflation. Yeah, interesting. I guess it's a touchy subject. I paid mine back. Hell yeah. They were trying to charge me some scam interest rate. So I was like, hell no, dude. Even though it was cheaper than normal interest rates, I was still like, hell no, dude. Not paying your interest rates. Income based repayment plans. It depends on the lender. Okay, it's all different. Damn, AMD popped 2% in a few minutes. It is, but tomorrow is going to be the big one here. I graduated debt free. Oh, Mark, you're good. Went to Home Depot the other day, full house. The place was jumping. Yeah. I mean, at the moment, I think the economy is obviously going to have it. Look, that's how tariffs work too. Remember, tariffs like do this. They front load the economy. So you get this like massive amount of expenditure. Everyone goes crazy. Dude, I'm not paying 145%. Get in there now. And then they go and buy. Companies generally buy 3 to 6 months of inventory on their main stuff. They did in this case. I know, yes, there'll be bare shelves. Then comes the question marks. And the way it's always usually happened is it goes to deflation. Supply demand, get a massive issue with the amount of demand that's suddenly there. And then it kind of just like cooks itself. So it can take this long easily to come through the system. Here in Germany, I get paid for studying. Damn, that's nice. Making those big purchases before tariffs jack prices. Yeah, I don't know what Home Depot is doing on stock, but it wouldn't surprise me at all to see front loading. But the problem is, I'm not sure if the stock will benefit from that. The actual TA is decent, nice low, decent resistance here at 370, but no break. I'm assuming you guys like I can't tell because I'm in Australia, but on the ground, the Americans out there, we've got 3,000 people watching. Appreciate it, guys. What are you seeing in terms of the stores? The hardware stores, obviously, I could imagine they're going crazy. People are probably like fighting over rulers and paint, but or whatever else they're buying. But the thing is that what are you seeing out there? You seeing people going mad in the stores? What's going on here? Literally everyone I know cited what's this? That they are doing their home projects because of tariffs. Yep, I totally agree. No worries, Joe. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, dude. We install roofing here, and that has been a significant purchase of shingles prior to tariffs. Yep, I totally believe it, Jeff. Thank you very much. Oil is still dumping. Oil is higher than it was. It was way worse before, Jojo. Pharmacy shelves missing some stuff. I wouldn't be surprised on that one. There's a rush to purchase before tariffs kick in. Figure it. Who goes to stores anymore? Me, because I'm a boomer. And most people here probably. Wait, how else am I going to get my hardware? You can't go and like buy online. Oh, yeah, I would like. Actually, I guess you can. I kind of do sometimes. What? Actually, I must admit, I do buy probably half online for that stuff. Eric says I don't get out. Too busy trading. Fair enough. You can trade on your mobile, dude. You could be trading in the hardware store, buying. You're getting the good deals before the tariffs and the good deals on the markets. It's big brain. By the way, you guys in America have bought over a Wendy's of Australia. We're now filled with Wendy's. We've got Wendy's here. And I'll tell you what, I haven't had it because it's not in my state, but they are stacked. I don't know if Wendy's is good or anything, but it is stacked. 0.7%, 0.75. So again, both things down a little bit here in the major markets. Bitcoin chilling. It's a chill day. We're sitting here. Areas of concern, guys. Kind of gold going up. Taiwan dollar. Obviously, watch that story. Taiwan deal. What's going on there? And then, of course, we have the yields. Watch the US 30Y. I think that's really the big story of this week. 30Y, 30Y, Wednesday, 10 a.m. this morning for ISM. Pharmacy missing stuff, normal in San Fran. No one goes to Wendy's anymore. That's probably why they came to Australia. No difference in Los Angeles yet. Okay, cool. I'm in purchasing distribution and shelves aren't empty yet. Give it a few more weeks. Yep, cool, Milton. How much? Anyone know how much they've got? They got 3 months. They got 6 months. If Tom's a boomer, I died 20 years ago. This is a joke. Anyone that's like in the 20s calls everybody over 30 a boomer. No panic buying in Houston at all. Really? And this is from a regular Texas dude. He knows. Regular Texas dude with Texas barbecue. Tom, could you take a look at UNH? Oh, man, I don't like this stock. Why do we look at this stock? I don't like it. Oh, it's worse than it was the other day. Oh, I kind of see why you like it a little bit now. Okay, so we didn't like it the other day, but this is a decent demand. But still, there's no buying yet. If you were an absolute like to live dangerously kind of crazy person, I guess you could claim that's like okay. But I would say you'd probably want to break this. And it's very speculative. That's like seriously like trying to buy the absolute knife. Native Texan here. I know, dude. You know. I knew you had good barbecue straight away. Who buys from pharmacy? Buy from hymns and fund my retirement. Stock has been increasing, as somebody said before. UNH is the second highest component of XLV. I know. But it just hits up. Business bankruptcies in Canada are crazy. Buying business equipment for nothing. Tariffs and communist government killing place. Okay. But yeah, a lot of bankruptcies would be going through. Small businesses in particular. We're seeing an increase in bankruptcies. I'm watching it. But the problem is that it's a great storyline. It's kind of like, remember when everyone was going on about commercial property a few years ago? They're like, commercial property is going to blow the world. Well, that didn't happen. I think what we do here on the channel is we cut the crap. We try to get through what is a hectic, chaotic, and frankly maddening world. Like I've been watching, whenever I do the analysis and I try to get the stuff for you guys, I'm going to tell you right now, 2025 has got to be the most annoying year I have ever done for videos ever. And it's purely just because I have to sift through so much rubbish. You guys agree? It has to be the year of trash. Half the news is fake. Half the news is real, but then kind of useless. Most of it's trash. It's like some of it's AI generated. It's just nuts. It absolutely is. So you can rest assured I do try my very best to get the best juice. 2025 is very difficult. Yeah. It's always like that. No, I think it's more difficult. It's always been, you got to find stuff, but this year's probably more so. 100% agree. Yeah. Hate the AI crap. Oh, dude, I got tricked the other day. I was watching something and there was like I started it. I was like, oh yeah, seems okay. Like one of those history shows. And then I realized probably about 30 seconds in, you know how like those AIs, they're always like they'll have like kind of chapters and then they'll read out the chapter and you're like, oh God, the worst. Uh, by the way, Miami F1 race was pretty decent. Well, the actual weekend was not bad. Quantum stocks. Yeah, quantum stocks are cool and all, but it's like chasing hype and then seeing a dump. So I think we'll leave it with that, guys. We'll have a look at this. Just remember today, 10 a.m. ISM service PMI. Wednesday is probably the big catalyst. We're looking for some kind of deal this week. I think if we don't get one, the market will not be happy at this zone. We are at resistance in overbought territory. So key level to watch is 55.75. We'll come at you at the end of the day. I'll try to get a video out sooner rather than later so that you guys can watch that. Hopefully we can find some more dark pool liquidity. I'm looking for Wall Street signals. Okay. We're looking for the Wall Street signals. Good work if you got into gold. Silver possibly does break. And we have to watch this closely and US 30Y. So we'll keep watching that. I'm looking at bonds as well. I'll update you at the end of today's session on what is going on there. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next Monday, seeing you at the close, and seeing some of you in the Market Masters Club for the Tuesday Open. Appreciate it. This is like the calm before the storm, guys. We're sitting here and we're like, what's going on? But, the good thing is that we all have been talking about this level for what seems like eons, even though it's only been a couple of weeks. And that was 5600 to 5660. We had a feeling we'd get here. We're now here and we're seeing some kind of reaction. So, whenever you're looking at technicals, whenever someone says, oh, that doesn't work, man, you've always got to say, look, dude, down here, we talk about the opportunity that's probably going to get up to here. And it's about those probabilities and about that creating the most probable scenarios based on replicable events. Have a great day. I hope you have a fantastic session. Have a fantastic week. And we're all in it together, guys. I will go and start to think about how I'm going to sift through the trash tomorrow to find the best stuff for us. Bye for now, and you have a fantastic day.